Welcome back, everybody, to the Triad of the Force podcast, a podcast from Puerto Rican friends coming together to do deep dives into Star Wars and other nerd-related media. Today we have a treat for you. Some other of our friends have already released it, but we're releasing them anyway on our channel. Goose here as part of the Triad had an amazing experience in San Francisco, got to do some in-person interviews that were awesome, and this one is Tony Gilroy. So how was that? That had to have been so nerve-wracking.
It was insane. It was insane. Yeah. And it just started immediately in the beginning of the day. You know, if you were listening to our Margit interview released yesterday, you know, she was the first interview. So it kind of helped us get in the zone of what to expect and how it was going to be. And
the like dynamic.
Kristin Baver, you know, was there as a moderator. So she definitely helped. But it was really funny because they split us up. I don't know if I mentioned this in the last episode, but they split us up into two groups, which I think was extremely smart because then, you know, you're able to have like
more intimate,
more contained. Exactly. More contained groups, and it's more intimate, like you said. And then everyone has more of a chance to be able to come in and ask questions. So we were group one, and group one was myself, obviously, Triad of the Force, and then Alex and Mollie, Star Wars Explained, Jason from Blast Points, and Alex from Children of the Watch. So we made a pretty good team because we kind of came in and after the Margit one, and we saw how everything kind of flowed. Yeah. We got together to strategize a little bit about how to approach the Tony Gilroy, and we were already primed for Tony, right? Because while we were in the lobby, this was hilarious. While we were in the lobby waiting to be escorted into Lucasfilm, you know, you always do those jokes like, oh, you know, what if so and so is behind you when you're talking about so and so. And at one point, you know, I'm telling like Alex, oh, you know, what if just Tony Gilroy just shows up behind you? And I swear, and I shit you not. 2 or 3 minutes after I said that, just Tony Gilroy just walks in to the lobby at Lucasfilm, and then all of us are just like, "What do we do now?" So you have to pretend to be cool. Life? Yeah, and they're like, "We're gonna talk to him already. You can't approach him." So, whatever. To make a long story short, it was really funny because as then we're getting into the offices themselves, we just see Tony Gilroy, the creator and showrunner of Andor, have to check in like a normal person
with their ID and stuff
into Lucasfilm, and then he's telling his name to the person at the front desk, and he starts being like Tony Gilroy, and then the person is like, how do you spell that? And he's like Gilroy, and it's like we were all flabbergasted because we're like, wait, Tony Gilroy has to check in like a normal person, and then he has to spell out his name like he's some normie that no one knows who he is. That just because of that interaction, it might have made it worth it. But yeah, going back into the interview itself, it was amazing, and I'm glad for my group one cohorts because I think we did a very good strategy of how to approach it, who starts and then who ends it. And the night before, we were all out having drinks, and you know, when you're having drinks, you have stupid ideas about stupid things, and I had
don't say it yet though.
I had a stupid idea about doing something that we
don't give it away.
that in the moment we were like, oh yeah, that's funny, but then the day of, everyone's like, oh, remember what you said last night? You should absolutely do that. And I wasn't sure because I'm just like, this could either be one of the worst things in the world and it could be cringe and Tony's gonna hate me, it's gonna land flat and I'll never get invited to one of these, or it could be cool. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but it might have worked. But
okay,
I don't know if anyone
we'll leave that up to you. I don't know
if anyone wants to listen to it.
Yeah. Just listen to the interview and watch all the way to the end so you can see if Goose's gamble paid off or not. So without further ado, here's the interview. Tony Gilroy.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah,
so you're all, did you guys, who are you?
Good question.
Good question.
We're one of the podcasters that had to do lots of work after HR came out.
So you covered all the episodes?
Yes.
All of them?
Yeah.
All big fans.
Yeah.
And
I
are
think we
you?
should do the whole thing? Tony just asked all the questions.
Yeah.
Are you Lucasfilm people? Or are you?
No.
You're all outside.
All
You're
fans.
all, okay.
Do you
Yeah.
want to do just a quick intro for Tony?
Sure,
Who you
yeah.
are and where you come from?
I'm Alex Maxwell. I'm Children of the Watch, a Star Wars show.
Very good.
My name's Jason Gibner. I'm a co-host on Blast Points podcast.
Okay.
I'm Gustavo Acosta, but you can call me Goose, and I'm from Trial of the Force, Puerto Rico Star Wars podcast.
I'm Alex Damon from Star Wars Explained, the YouTube channel.
Okay.
And I'm Mollie Damon from also Star Wars Explained.
They just met here.
So how many hours did you do?
Oh my god.
Who did the most hours?
Well, it's not about the amount
No, I'm
of
curious.
hours, about the quality of the hours.
Well, okay, so we know who did the least.
Ours kept getting longer. Our one for 10, 11, 12 was 2.5 hours.
Yeah, seven through 9 was borderline 3 hours.
Yeah.
Our discussion on that.
I think we would do episode like scripted stuff, and then we would do live stream discussions. And the last one, 3 hours, 3 to 4. It was a long one.
Now, do you sort of listen to what everyone else is doing? Are you?
Yeah.
All,
Yeah. We're all friends.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so fire away. What's unexplained that you want to know? What don't you know that you want to know?
Well, I'll start and just ask, how are you? Because you've been doing a lot of press.
Yeah.
for
I'm
Andor.
done today, kind of done.
Really?
Yeah, I
That's
feel.
good.
I mean, it's been unbelievable.
Yeah,
The response has been unbelievable.
yeah. Not sick of talking about it yet.
You can say, yeah. No, you're just sick of talking about yourself, you know, and you would. Everybody should spend a month where everyone tells you how great you are. It's a really interesting thing, and you should see how you react to that and
Yeah.
what you do with it. And I think it's a test of character.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it didn't happen to me when I was 28. It's been an amazing couple months. We all feel that way. Everybody in the hall, you know, because we've been together, and
Yeah.
we're all texting with each other. God, did you see this? Holy cow! Can you believe it?
Do you have like an interview or like a press event that you've done so far that you got really excited to meet that person?
I did one with Colbert,
Yeah. That's
but I had a little too much to drink that night, so I actually
Super fun to watch.
I
was
was
good.
it was late and a long day, and I went and had dinner with my kids, and I went there and I had another beer, and it was a little looser than I wanted. But it was fun to be. I know him a little bit. It's fun to be with him. Man, we went to Tokyo. Paris, London, Tokyo. I couldn't get to Mexico City because I was just exhausted. But man, we've been everywhere.
Yeah.
It's been everywhere.
I think were we all in Tokyo?
Not me.
Oh,
It was man, what a thrill, right?
yeah. It's
Unbelievable.
incredible.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
All right, I know you got some like what happened here questions. Go for it. I know there's some stuff. Yeah, like where's the problem?
Alex, you look like you have.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So one of my personal favorite moments of the entire series is the moment Cassian and Bix have with the Force Healer.
Right.
And can you just touch on the conception of that scene, and then also how you approach bringing in the concept of the Force into a grounded show like Andor?
I think in the first season, I think I was probably pretty adamant that I wasn't going to do any Force. It was kind of like our mandate: we're not doing Force, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. But I think two things happened. One, you spend a lot of time. I mean, people, you'd be surprised. Maybe you wouldn't be surprised. I mean, the people on the show really, they check out what's happening online. You can get overwhelmed, but people check it out. And it seemed, I thought if there was a way to do it that fit our vocabulary on the show, that it was really, the effort should be made to try to do it, because so many people cared about it, and it also coincided with my emerging realization that Cassian is pretty destined. There's a destiny there. And it's so weird how these things come about. When we did, in the very first episodes, when he gets captured by when he lands in the Maya Pay Brigade, takes him over, we had allowed to, what planet is that going to be? There was another planet, an interim planet where he was going to go, and they were going to send there was a couple other things that were going to happen there, but that money was tight at that point. We were overstuffed at that point. So it was like, well, you can't have that other planet, and so what planet are we going to do? And Luke and I are like, well, what should we do? Where should we go? And I think I called Pablo and it's like, you know, Moen says there's nobody on Yavin now 5 years earlier, that it's no one's there. And Pablo confirmed that it was, I said, so what's it like? He goes, well, the temples are there, and there's these animals there, these beasts that are there, but no one's there at this point. So we're like, all right, let's be on Yavin the whole way, and then we'll have the last shot where you pull out and you realize you're there. That'll be a really good thrill for the audience. So, but then when you add that to his list of events that he's at Albani, he's here and there, it starts to look a little, the Destiny part was really sort of singing, you know? So that's why I did it. We really wanted to do it very carefully. The inspiration from it is from Ghost, probably. I remember Ghost is when Whoopi Goldberg is the psychic she was a psychic at one point, but she's obviously a fraud at this point. She's given up and she's just this grifter. And Patrick Swayze goes up there and like all of a sudden her original talent is activated a little bit. So I love that scene. I love that idea. So the idea of someone, you want scenes to do everything. So you want to show how Yalvin's growing, and you want to say, oh, there's a catering truck, and there's people that do all this work, and they clean up, and there's, dinner, and all this, and there's a moot, and people wander around. And so it did all those things, and that's how we tiptoed into it.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in the background. A lot of welding.
We're always trying to do many things at once.
I love how fleshed out, like Gavin, but really everywhere feels, and you've said there have been like 400 speaking parts on the show, and Star Wars fans we love are like side and background characters or small bit parts, and you made like dozens of new fan favorites. So how do you make such compelling characters when they only have a few minutes of screen time and like just a handful of lines? Like I'm in love with Thela, the bellhop. He's
well, that's not a small part.
No,
I know, but that's the job. Zana would just groan. I would turn in pages, and we would do some more characters, and they're very. I think they're very helpful for me to tell the story. I think I'm cheating a lot. I'm telling a lot of story through day players, but there's no point in having them if they. What's it? I don't know. One that comes to the guy who does the guy who's operating the video cameras in the hospital.
Yeah.
Okay. So I got to have a scene. And Hirt is there, and we've spent a little bit of time with Hirt, but we haven't really established his authority so much. So I got to do that, and I got to do a scene. It's in 28 Bourne movies. It's in every other movie. Got to do the screens where they find the thing, and I got to hide that this is a boring. This is a stock scene. So I better, So I need life.
Yeah.
So I need this creepy dude who's down there who hasn't cleaned up, and no one ever comes down there, and and don't sit there, That's the key line that makes that work. It's like, oh, I don't sit there. You like, what's on that chair? What's happened there? And then he comes to life, and that's, and you want it to always be like that. You always want it to be like that.
Yeah.
And something you don't see from watching it, but that I found was interesting when reading the scripts, is that you also name most of these characters.
Naming things is really. We found. I think on this project in general, we have to build so many things. Everything we do, every planet, every ship, everything, every scene. Naming things is really important. You name it, it suddenly gets easier to do it. So I got really good at Star Wars names. Really good at it.
They'll all end up in a book somewhere.
Yes.
Several books.
He's probably working on it right now.
Yeah.
So what was your creative process for naming Star Wars characters? Because you've got, Dedra Meero, Edie Karn, so some amazing ones.
Luthen Rael. No, I know. But you get on a streak. I get on a streak where I could do a whole bunch at once. And sometimes you sit in here just like, you're not in the mood, or it's not happening. Just, the right moment, the right time of day. It's not like other writing, so it can be a different, I would do them in bursts. And when you get them, when you get them.
Right. Was there a character that was really hard to name?
I'm trying to think of a name that didn't work. if it didn't work, I got rid of it. We swapped it out. I mean, and then and then different names. Tom Bissell's daughter. When Tom Bissell came on, Tom Bissell's just so sweet, and his daughter was just so obsessed with Star Wars. She's like 7 or 8 years old, just obsessed, and her name is Mina. So she would get Mina Rao. My daughter is Catherine, but when she was little, she used to say her name Catherine. So she's the ring of Catherine, and I don't know. There's things all the way through. Sometimes it's that, but and if someone has an idea, sometimes I'll do it. It's
I'm
great.
in love with BMO being.
Well, that's my son's dog's name. So B2EMO. Yeah. But that was really designed to be a dog. That I really worked. That was a super conscious effort. Yeah. He's getting on a roll. You get better at it too. If you do a couple days in a row, you'll see you get better at it. You've probably done it.
Yeah.
I never use a generator or anything. I know there are generators. I never use a generator.
I know historically a lot of Star Wars names will just be like temporizations of the actors' names. Like they just jumble the letters.
Oh, I know what. And I like Tim with 2 M's.
Yeah.
Tim with 2 M's. All right, two M's. And Marva, 2 A's.
Yeah. How do I make this Star Warsy? Add an extra letter.
I've seen people complain about that. And Edie has 2 E's. It's like, okay, some of that. Yeah.
I think it works.
Okay, maybe switching gears a little bit,
Yeah,
getting a little spicy. I know, like in the interview with Colbert, you were talking about how you could speak about fascism. And I think that's obviously an extremely interesting and relevant topic. And one of the things that fascists historically do to subject and oppress is to silo dissent and keep everyone separated so that they can't come together and rise up against whatever system of control is there. And Denise Gove was talking about how the Empire is a gang and rebels are tribes. So I was wondering, like, as you were writing season 1 and into season 2, and you're talking about the Gorman Front, the Neo-Republicans, the Partisan Alliance, like, how are you conceptualizing that distinction, right, of one, the Empire separating all these groups, but then, like, how they come together into, from a group of idiots in the forest to an organized, strong rebellion?
Well, my experience on Rogue, one of the I won't go into too much detail, but there's this big scene at the end when they come back to Yavin and Jin is trying to get everybody to, we got to go to Scarif. That big scene with all those people and all the contentions is there. There's complete disagreement of that whole huge cast of people, and so I know that this coalition is really shaky. I mean, that's and weak and very much in danger. So that's one element. The gang on the Maya Pei Brigade is there because I knew I had this super elegant speech that he's going to give to Naya at the top. And it's going to be this really beautiful, and I had written it was really, it was feeling really good and emotional, and you knew it was going to be really stirring, and it's very sober. It's a proper speech, and it's at the beginning of the show. I'm not going to put music against it because I want to have everybody thinking we're going to have a slow burn when I'm not going to have a slow burn. And I was like, man, you know what? This is so elegant, and everybody's going to think that the rebellion has really got both feet on the ground and everything's good. And I know that I'm going to get. I know that for most of the show, I'm going to be developing this idea of a degrading coalition, and as Luthen becomes more, as he begins to erode, and the original gangsters get frayed, and that I want to have that in microcosm in the beginning. And so let me do the really stupid version. Let me do the idiots version up top, and just to put it on the table as a little bit of something that'll echo much louder as it goes on later on. And I didn't know what I was doing when I say all that stuff. But if you're writing well, particularly on this show, if you're writing well, you're laying a lot of ground rules for things or laying a lot of seeds for things you don't know if you're going to come back and pick them up or not. So I don't know what a human cultist is. I can imagine what it is. People are against droids, and I'm sure you could write it if you had to. But I didn't know Maya Pei was just when I went to do the Maya Pei, I goes, I have Maya Pei from, like I said before. So I go back and pick up what I did before. So you're always, that's how.
Is there also a part of you when you're planting those seeds that you think, if I don't come back for it, somebody will later. Like somebody will write a book, somebody will write an entry.
Yes, I feel a lot of people tiptoeing behind me.
To kind of play off of that a little bit, my day job, I teach middle school history.
Okay.
So I just want to know, like you've said before, you're kind of a popcorn historian.
Yeah.
And that you love to read history books.
Yeah.
What are some recommendations of history books that you've read?
Well, they may not be from middle school, but
No, yeah.
I mean, I was just doing an interview, and like I think, oh God, I think when I was like 14 or 15, I read Stefan Zweig's biography of Marie Antoinette, and then I was like, holy cow! And then the guillotine and the French Revolution. So I read there's probably been 4 or 5 different times in my life where I've gotten really deep on the French Revolution. Some new thing has come out. Hilary Mantel, who did Wolf Hall and all that. Probably the greatest book she ever wrote is called A Place of Greater Safety, which is about, is a huge novel about the players at the center of the French Revolution. It's a great book. That would be, it's a novel, but it's, what's another book? I'll recommend a podcast, the Mike Duncan History of Revolutions, right? I mean, what else is really good? I've been Young Stalin is another book that I read a long time ago, and very much Aldani is. It's not Aldani, not the way it works, but to realize that Stalin's function for Lenin was as an earner. That's why Lenin liked him. That had nothing. Stalin was not an ideologue or anything. He was just a gangster, and he was just really good at putting money on the table. And so there's the opening scene of Young Stalin is this massive multiplayer robbery in this town in Georgia, this bank robbery. And so Luthen's need for money and how revolutions get funded. I say on the Russian thing, there's an amazing book called The House of Government, which is this guy's life's work from Berkeley. And it's about it's a massive book about all the history of the Russian Revolution, but told through the personalities of people who will end up living in that house on the embankment. There's this huge apartment building that they built. So it's all young people that from all walks of life that make the revolution and come together and fall in love. And it has a lot to do with about how much the sex and love has to do with revolution, how people bond together. And then what happens to them when Stalin turns and most of them end up being executed or tortured and end up in Siberia. That book, I mean, I could go on and on, but I mean, that's just a couple. There's no shortage of books about revolution.
Yeah. Is that usually the topic that you're studying when you're reading history books, or do
No,
you have
I
a
mean-
wide range?
I've had a long time to read. No, I mean, there's different times. I mean, I went deep on Napoleon. I went deep on Oliver Cromwell. I went deep on Roman history and the Roman Revolution. I mean, the British Revolution is really, the British Revolution is really with the levelers and the Oliver Cromwell. And I mean, I think Marx and Engels thought that was the ultimate revolution. That's the model that they use. It's before the American Revolution. It's really the one that really was the most ideologically, Zapata's fascinating. The Haitian Revolution is Spartacus. I mean, it's everywhere. It's just nonstop. You go on Wikipedia, it's like 50 pages of rebellions.
Star Wars can be just such a gateway for fans into other things like history or mythology.
Right.
Is there anything that you want people who are watching Andor, is there something you'd be like really excited about if you saw that it was being like a gateway for Star Wars fans into other interests?
Oh, I mean, go on Blue Sky right now and pop up latest, and you'll see a whole variety of conversations that I can't even really talk about that are happening. That people having all kinds of discussions from all kinds of different ways. I mean, it's outstripped anything that I would think about. The follow-on conversations are already beyond anything I imagined.
Yeah.
It's out there every day. Yeah.
We noticed a lot of it just like doing what we do on our channel from the conversations about Andor. A lot of people are like, yeah, it's happening in the real world and here's how. So it's been really interesting to see the people that watch us have those real conversations about real events.
Yeah, it's so far outstripped anything that it's gone in every area.
Which I think is so interesting with Andor and with Star Wars when George Lucas made the original trilogy, he was very much speaking about a very certain point in time, but with, in those and prequels, his messages resonate today in different ways because it's a universal thing he's talking about. And I think, 20 years from now, when people are still watching Andor, they're going to be finding new things. I hope in what you put on the screen.
I hope, yeah. I mean, what you really want to do is you want to make something that people can watch over and over again that doesn't get dated.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I went and saw Michael Clayton the other night for the first time in 18 years.
Oh wow!
They had it at this video store. We did part of a promotion for Andor there, and they showed. I watched it, and like the proudest thing about it is that it doesn't smell stale at all. It feels like it's going to stick around. You want that. That's the most satisfying feeling, I think, that it doesn't get dated.
And I think that was the power, right, of sci-fi, not just for Andor or Star Wars in general. It's just sci-fi is a veneer of hiding and coding of stuff of real life and real events and masking it for people to be able to digest better. And I think that's been one of the great gifts of Andor in many ways. It's like things that were already in Star Wars, Andor has kind of like elevated in many ways so that people are talking about it in a different way. Because people, for Return of the Jedi, weren't really talking about the Ewoks are the Vietnamese, right? But now people are having like very in-depth and passionate discussions about how Andor resonates to them, and I think that's something that's been very valuable to me as a show, because with Puerto Rico and our history of oppression and colonialism that we're still kind of going through, Andor season 1, and then obviously having a Hispanic lead in Diego was kind of unheard of in many ways.
So, but as you're aware, it's shocking how many people we could do a whole United Nations resonance tour on this thing. There's a lot of people that can pick out everything that they want to pick out here, which is really, that's been a really good cloak for us to wear as we're going out and selling the show as well. The fact that how universal this is something sad but true.
I love like you said, Goose, about using Star Wars or Andor kind of repeating things that Star Wars has always been about. Mon Mothma's speech about the death of truth, like you immediately I started thinking about the Clone Wars, and they had these like blue text bubbles that would tell you what the episode was about, and so many of them are about truth and trust. And
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not on my radar, but yeah, okay, wow.
It was incredible. Like everything that Mon Mothma says, I'm like, this is what George Lucas has always said. And
fantastic.
It felt so good to hear that.
Yeah. And I guess like to add to that, it's been you've been notorious, I think, online during season 1 at least, of maybe not being the biggest fan of Star Wars, and I think at least my perception in season 2 is that maybe has shifted a little bit.
But all I was saying was it wasn't. I hadn't really been participating, but. I got 26 hours of Star Wars. I mean, what do you got? I feel like
it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, but I really had to. What I really probably should have said in the beginning, I didn't have the energy to invest any more because it took so much design, imaginative energy just to do all this. It couldn't ever get outside of my 5-year block. So those 5 years is like, I know everything. I'm a fan of those 5 years. It's what's after and what's before that either confuses me or it's not worth my while to get involved in because it takes me away from what I need to concentrate on.
After having all that to do in Star Wars, and you've been in it for almost a decade, would you have any advice for any future Star Wars directors or showrunners that are coming into this world?
I hope that it's really bothered me. It's bothered everybody on our show all the way through. Anytime they try to make it a division between what we're doing and what other people are doing, it's like it's clickbait and it's whatever it is, and it's just like, man, every time we see it, we're like, where's this coming from? What does that mean? And why are they doing this? And by the same thing, I think if I was coming in clean, I wouldn't do anything like this. I'd want to make another lane. I think they have some projects, which I get in trouble if I talk about the few that I know about, but they're different. They're different windows. They're different aspects. there's a billion freaking galaxies. I mean,
Yeah.
billion beings in that galaxy. You could go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean,
So many different flavors of Star
you
Wars.
could do any. I mean, it's just it's. I really hope people wouldn't. I hope the lesson is let your freak flag fly and work your ass off and really really go for it. And it's really hard. It's way harder than you think because, I mean, like Luke and I, well, I think we were on the show for like a couple of weeks, starting out, tiptoeing in, and I think we both called each other one morning and go, we're going to have to design everything. There's nothing you can take for granted. And the moment you realize that, it's just like the floor disappears. You're like, oh my God, how are we going to do it? I think if people have the commitment to the design and commitment to that, they should change the flavor and do whatever they want to do. And hope it works. I don't know.
I think that kind of hits on maybe part of the bedrock of the success of it, because you come in, you don't have to be an expert in this, you just have to know enough to tell the story you want to tell. But then you told a story that is so unique to you, I think, as a storyteller. And I think maybe that's what the next generation, the next people, anybody who wants to be a storyteller at all just needs to be true to themselves and the story they want to tell.
I was really, through all the doubts I had and all the times I wanted the show to go away and was hoping that COVID would kill it or whatever, that when I was really anxious, because we almost made some really, I mean, if COVID hadn't happened, I think this would be a big disaster story. Through all of that, I was like, wow, no one is ever going to do a show about revolution and fascism and colonialism and imperialism and sacrifice and about people who get ground up and forgotten to make something happen. No one's ever going to get a chance to do that on a scale like this, and I'm really into that opportunity. Someone else has to find another opportunity for themselves that interests them.
Yeah, well said. Do we have one last question to wrap us up?
If I say this is the greatest day of my life, doesn't spoil
Oh my God. Oh, that's fantastic. All right, you should close on that.
Yeah. There we go. All right, wonderful. Thank you.
Wow, what a cool conversation. I had no idea what we were going to do. That's fantastic. Really cool to meet you.
Well, I think you did pull it off, Goose. Like,
I'm not gonna lie.
surprisingly, but
I'm not gonna lie.
'cause I think that was a really good reaction. Like, he was full on laughing. So I think
it was more than I was
it was good.
expecting. It was more than I was expecting. I was my most optimistic version was expecting like just a ha ha ha, but
yeah.
I got a full ball, I got a little leg kick. He was
It was nice.
he was good. He was good. But I also have to give a lot of credit to Mollie, because she was a rock star. She was great. She opened the conversation with that "How are you?" and I feel like that lowered his defenses a little bit and made everything a lot more personal.
Melted the ice a little bit, and
she was incredible. I think she was really, really, really good in all of these interviews. But I don't know. Did anything stick out to you in particular about anything Tony said?
I thought it was great how he was just like, "Who are you people?"
Yeah.
We're such normies. It's great, but whatever. We got to talk to the creator. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good. His answers were really awesome. Some really unexpected, actually. When he said that the Force healer scene was inspired by Ghost, I was like, definitely not expecting that. So it's, you can tell that there was a shift, from season 1 to season 2, and he owns up to it and kind of, I don't know. He just expressed himself really well and answered a lot of things that I wouldn't have even thought to ask, really. So I actually enjoyed it a lot. How about you, like, being there?
It was. I keep using surreal because there's no other way to describe it, because you never think that you're gonna be, and to be fair, we've done thankfully like a roundtable earlier this year with Tony and Genevieve O'Reilly. But there's a thing about being disembodied and being through Zoom and doing a virtual
as opposed
thing
to being there in person.
As cool as it is, I'm not saying it's not cool. It's very cool. I'm very thankful and lucky to do those two. But there's that's one thing. But then being in person, making eye contact with the person changes the dynamics in a very strange way. But it was very pleasing, right, to see someone just be nice and cool, because he could have been just, he could have brushed us off and be like, oh, you're
And
just
kind of like really
your
into it too. You
podcast?
could
Yeah.
tell that he really loved that project and,
Yeah.
he was invested in it. I mean, it was years in the making, but you can tell that there's like true love for what he
Yeah.
was making.
He
So,
he definitely projected lots of passion and love and kindness, and he's kind of a cynical guy too, so it's always funny to see like his cynical humor, but genuine at the end of the day, and the fact that he took the time to he's doing this Emmy Awards push for Andor, because they're nominated on like 23 different categories if I'm not mistaken. So they're doing a big push, and he's talking to Colbert, he's talking like all these big media outlets, and the fact that he took time to talk to little old us, it speaks to what they're trying to do and who they're trying to connect with, and how and that they recognize that this is not just for the award, it's also for the people that are watching it. We're podcasters, we're just we're just a couple of people watching the show too, and a couple of people that love it. So it was incredible. It was incredible. So hopefully there was things there that we were able to ask that other people haven't asked, and Tony gave some new answers to things that haven't been heard before, and hopefully people got something out of this. You enjoy this, because we enjoyed it, and hopefully like what we are doing helps enrich the people that are listening to this.
So I think that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the interview with Tony Gilroy. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. We have one more interview to go this week. Actually, we have two, right?
Two. There's a surprise one,
Yeah, there's a surprise one. Okay, so let us know what you think about Tony Gilroy's answers. Was there anything surprising? Was there anything you wish we would have asked but didn't think to ask? Just let us know in the comments. And until next time, may the Force be with you.